A shocking clue may have just changed everything we thought we knew about the terrifying hostage situation currently unfolding at Windermere. For weeks, we have been watching Ross Cullum tighten his iron grip on the Cassadine estate, turning the once majestic property into an impenetrable fortress of doom for Jocelyn Jacks and Liesel Obrecht. We have been led to believe that Cullum holds all the cards, manipulating everyone around him with the precision of a master chess player. But something isn't adding up anymore. A new detail could expose the truth about the shifting loyalties inside those cold stone walls. We have been keeping our eyes glued to the obvious threats, but the real danger and the real salvation might be coming from the person we least expect. Guys, we need to talk about Cassius Phazon. We have all viewed him as a pawn, a willing participant in Cullum's grand, nefarious scheme. But if you look closely at the breadcrumbs, a massive shift is occurring. We may be standing on the precipice of a tragedy so profound that it will shatter the canvas of Port Charles. Let us be completely honest with ourselves and look at the psychological deterioration of this character. The narrative surrounding Cassius has always been layered with deep deception, but recently, the cracks in his villainous armor have become impossible to ignore. He is parading around as the fake Nathan West, deceiving Nina Reeves, Dante Falconeri, and even young James West. Yet, every single time he is forced to confront the reality of what he is doing, we see the agonizing torment in his eyes. He is a man drowning in his own manufactured lies. The breaking news here isn't just that Cassius is feeling guilty, it is that his guilt might actively be sabotaging Cullum's operation from the inside. We are sensing a massive course correction for this character, one that transitions him from a despicable imposter to a profoundly tragic anti-hero. The tension is palpable. Every time he looks at Jocelyn locked in that room, every time he hears his own mother, Liesel, suffering in captivity, the facade crumbles a little more. You can practically feel the desperation radiating off the screen. Something monumental is about to break, and it is going to break soon. This brings us to the crucial clue, the exact moment where the entire trajectory of this storyline pivots into terrifying new territory. We need to focus on a specific, highly dangerous new variable that has just been introduced into the Windermere equation. It is not a missing file, and it is not a leaked document. It is a person. The arrival of Agent Harker, played with chilling intensity by Matt Merchant. Harker is not just another random WSB goon brought in to stand by the door and look intimidating. He is described as razor sharp, utterly cold-blooded, and a man who never ever fails to execute his mission. Why bring in a heavy hitter like Harker right now? That's where things become interesting. Cullum is a mastermind, and masterminds do not bring in ruthless executioners unless they suspect a leak or an impending internal rebellion. Cullum is losing faith in Cassius. He sees the hesitation. He sees the emotional attachment Cassius is developing toward his captives. Harker's presence is the ultimate clue that Cassius's days of playing both sides are rapidly coming to a violent end. Let us dissect Cassius's recent behavior, because every single action he takes right now is a glaring red flag waving in the wind. He has been risking his own freedom to stay in Port Charles, just to say goodbye to James West at the batting cages. A true, heartless villain would have cut his losses and vanished into the night the moment his cover started slipping. But Cassius cannot do it. He is tethered to the humanity he has experienced while pretending to be Nathan. He is watching Jocelyn Jacks, a young woman with her entire life ahead of her, trapped in a nightmare he helped create. He knows that his mother, Liesel Obrecht, is rotting in a cell just down the hall, stripped of her dignity and freedom. The clue lies in his hesitation. It lies in the way he argues with Jocelyn, not with malice, but with a desperate, pleading tone, insisting she must stay put for now. He isn't keeping her there to torture her. He is keeping her there because he knows the moment she steps out of line, Cullum will end her. But with Harker now roaming the halls of Windermere, Cassius knows his protective stalling tactics are no longer viable. Now, let us start connecting the dots, because this is where the picture becomes incredibly clear and incredibly dangerous. We know that Carly Spencer and Lucas Jones are currently orchestrating a highly dangerous, incredibly reckless rescue mission. Carly has just confessed to Lucas that Jocelyn is a WSB agent, and Lucas is fully on board to storm the castle. If we map out the timeline and the character trajectories, a fascinating and deadly picture emerges. If this detail about Cassius's overwhelming guilt is true, it perfectly aligns with the impending break-in. Carly and Lucas are walking straight into a death trap. Windermere is heavily fortified, and with Harker on the prowl, their chances of getting in and out alive are practically zero. That is, unless they have an inside man, it may not be a coincidence that Cassius is perfectly positioned to intercept them. If you ask me, Cassius is going to realize that this break-in is his one and only chance to make things right. He cannot take down Cullum and his entire mercenary squad alone, but with the chaos created by Carly and Lucas, he finally has an opening. This could explain a lot about how the writers plan to resolve the seemingly impossible standoff at Windermere. We have been wondering how on earth Carly, armed with nothing but maternal rage, and Lucas, a doctor, are supposed to outgun highly trained WSB rogue agents. The answer is they don't have to. If Cassius flips, he becomes the ultimate wild card in this deadly game. Imagine the scene. Carly and Lucas breach the perimeter, their hearts pounding out of their chests. They are immediately cornered by Cullum's guards. Just as it looks like they are about to be thrown into the dungeons alongside Liesel and Jocelyn, the guards suddenly drop. Cassius steps out of the shadows. He doesn't offer a lengthy explanation. He just tells them to follow him if they want their daughter back. By connecting these dots, we see a narrative bridge forming. Cassius's redemption requires a monumental act of sacrifice, and Carly's desperate need to save her child provides the exact scenario he needs to execute his final, desperate play for absolution. But there may be more to this story, and we have to factor in the absolute terror that is Agent Harker. Harker is the wild card that Cassius cannot control, no matter how well he knows the security systems. While Cassius is busy hacking the camera feeds, unlocking the heavy cell doors, and guiding Carly, Lucas, Jocelyn, and Liesel through the damp, secret catacombs of Spoon Island, Harker is undoubtedly tracking their every single move. The tension here is exquisitely crafted. Every step the escapees take toward freedom is shadowed by the cold, calculating presence of a killer who has been brought in specifically to plug the leaks and silence the witnesses. Cassius knows the physical layout of Windermere, but Harker knows the psychology of a traitor. Harker will anticipate the escape route. He will wait for the perfect moment to strike, ensuring that the punishment for betrayal is absolute, public, and terrifying. The dots connect to form a perfect storm of suspense, betrayal, and impending doom. This brings us to the big reveal theory, the absolute core of what is about to happen on General Hospital. Guys, we are not just looking at a successful rescue mission. We are looking at a devastating bloodbath. The theory is that Cassius Phazon is going to orchestrate the great Windermere escape, but he is not going to make it off the island alive. The climax of this storyline will not be Cullum's arrest. It will be Cassius's agonizing, heroic death. Picture the absolute chaos of the escape. They have navigated the tunnels. They have almost made it to the docks. The launch is waiting, bobbing in the freezing water. Freedom is just yards away. Suddenly, the darkness is pierced by the blinding beam of a tactical flashlight. It is Agent Harker. He doesn't monologue. He doesn't hesitate. He raises his weapon with lethal precision, and his target is not Carly, and it is not Lucas. His target is the WSB agent who has caused their organization so much trouble, Jocelyn Jacks. In that agonizing split second, time will slow down to a crawl. Harker pulls the trigger. The bullet tears through the freezing night air, destined straight for Jocelyn's heart. But before it can make impact, a shadow lunges into its path. It is Cassius. He throws his entire body in front of the young woman he was supposed to keep imprisoned. The gunshot echoes across the harbor, a deafening roar that shatters the silence of Spoon Island and seals his fate. Cassius takes the fatal bullet meant for Jocelyn. This is the monumental secret of the storyline. Cassius was never destined to rot in a cell at Steinmauer, nor was he meant to ride off into the sunset with a new identity. His destiny was always tied to this single, defining act of ultimate sacrifice. He falls to the cold, unforgiving stone of the pier, bleeding out in the arms of the very people who despised him just moments before. The emotional gravity of this big reveal theory cannot be overstated. As Lucas desperately tries to stop the bleeding, utilizing every ounce of his medical training to save the man who just saved his niece, Cassius will look up at them and know that it is over. The wound is fatal. But for the first time in his miserable, lie-filled existence, his conscience is crystal clear. He has finally done something purely good, without any ulterior motive, without any manipulation, and without any dark agenda. He saved an innocent life at the cost of his own. In his final agonizing breaths, he will look at Carly and Jocelyn. He won't beg for their forgiveness, because he knows he doesn't deserve it. He will simply state that he had to do what was right. He had to stop the cycle of violence that his father, Cesar Faison, started so many years ago. And then, surrounded by the enemies he saved, Cassius Faison will close his eyes for the final time. It is a masterpiece of tragic storytelling, transforming a reviled imposter into a legendary martyr. If this theory is true, the aftermath will be nothing short of catastrophic for the residents of Port Charles. Let us start with the most immediate victims of this tragedy. Liesel Obrecht. She has been locked in a cell, praying for rescue, only to finally taste freedom at the exact moment she loses her son forever. The grief will absolutely shatter her. She will have to reckon with the fact that her boy, who she thought was lost to the darkness, found his light in his final moments, but it cost him his life. And what about Nina Reeves? Nina has been fiercely defending Nathan, completely oblivious to his true identity and his dark deeds. When the truth comes out that the man she was bonding with was actually Cassius, and that he died a hero saving her niece, her entire reality will fracture. The psychological toll on Nina will be immense, forcing her to reevaluate everything she thought she knew about family, loyalty, and deception. Then we have Carly, Lucas, and Jocelyn. They will be forever bound to the memory of the man who gave his life for theirs. Jocelyn in particular will have to carry the heavy burden of knowing that Cassius Faison's blood is the only reason her heart is still beating. The trauma of watching him take a bullet meant for her will haunt her for years to come. It will fundamentally change her perspective on the world. The black and white morality she often clings to will be obliterated by the gray reality of Cassius's sacrifice. Carly, who has spent weeks plotting his downfall and despising his very existence, will have to look in the mirror and acknowledge that a Faison saved her daughter's life. It is the ultimate poetic irony, a narrative twist that will leave the Spencer family indebted to their greatest enemy's bloodline. The emotional fallout will dictate their storylines for the next decade. The bigger question is, who benefits from this tragedy? The answer is terrifying. Agent Harker. With Cassius dead and the escapees traumatized and fleeing for their lives, Harker will solidify his position as the new ultimate big bad of General Hospital. He will not be a behind-the-scenes manipulator like Cullum. He will be a frontline executioner. Harker's cold-blooded murder of Cassius will serve as a gruesome warning to anyone who dares cross Cullum's organization. The power vacuum left by Cassius's betrayal and subsequent death will allow Harker to step up, bringing a new era of ruthless, militaristic terror to Port Charles. The war is not ending with the escape from Windermere. It is only just beginning. Harker will become the face of their nightmares, the man who pulled the trigger and altered their lives forever. He will be the target of Carly's ultimate vengeance. We may be looking at the beginning of something huge, guys. The pieces are all moving into place for a showdown of epic proportions. The walls of Windermere have witnessed countless tragedies over the decades, but the impending sacrifice of Cassius Faison might just be the most heartbreaking of them all. The truth could be closer than anyone realizes, hiding in the terrified glances and the unspoken guilt of a man who knows his time is running out. Someone may not be ready for what's coming next, and frankly, neither are we. As Carly and Lucas prepare to breach the gates, they have no idea that their salvation lies in the hands of a dying man. Keep your eyes peeled, because when the bullets start flying on Spoon Island, nothing will ever be the same again. Let us know in the comments if you think Cassius is destined for a hero's death. And until next time, stay vigilant, stay curious, and keep connecting those dots.
Goodbye. Please like, subscribe, and comment on the GH Spoilers Daily channel.